Good morning and welcome to Channel Africa's Innovation and Technology webinar. My name is Poppy Njongwana, your host and facilitator for this morning's conversation on Africa's digital future with a focus on the broadcasting landscape. I'm going to be joined this morning by three gentlemen who will unpack these key issues in the next couple of moments. We'll be joined by Dr. Vuyo Nyembezi, who is SABC Group Executive for Technology, as well as SABC COO at the SABC, Dr. Lungile Mbinza, to chat to us about the state of AI in broadcasting, as well as the technical preparedness for a shift in this direction. We're going to kick things off this morning by getting introductory remarks on this conversation from the business manager at Channel Africa, Mr. Dixie Ngula. So good morning and welcome to the Channel Africa webinar on innovation and technology.
Thank you, Poppy.
So let's start at the beginning from a conversation perspective. Why did Channel Africa see it important and significant to have a conversation on AI, broadcasting, and Africa's digital future?
We think it's important that with AI having arrived, that we don't frame it as a future discussion, that we tackle this matter as a matter that's already here with us.
Sure.
It's important that broadcasters on the continent align so that they play a significant role in how AI actually impacts their businesses. It's important that we trace this alongside our own journey as Channel Africa, because we come from operating in a linear environment, really, and repositioned into a digital-first platform. And we know that we've picked up some learnings in that process, and we think it's an important platform to create so that African broadcasters can align on the things that need to be done, and we can learn from one another as well. Managing risks that are involved and also being able to take on opportunities that arise.
As a digital-first platform, as you've mentioned, Channel Africa is, what do you think are the key opportunities for us as Channel Africa in this landscape?
I think the opportunities probably lie in really finding new efficiencies, streamlining processes, working better, more effectively. But the risks are there as well. So we must be responsible in the manner in which we approach these things. The risks, for me, I know you haven't asked the question yet, but I like to run these in parallel, because these are matters that we need to sort of traverse and discuss today. The risks, for me, are somewhere around issues of ethics. People first think about job losses and job security within the space. And we must also say, where does the responsibility and accountability lie? And these are parallels that I think we need to consider together as we look at how we must shape that future ourselves as African broadcasters.
What is exciting from an opportunity perspective and also from an African perspective? We're talking digital future, but we're also in a continent that is leading in so many ways. What's exciting from an opportunities perspective?
So we have the youngest population on the continent. We want to find things that we can do in such dynamic fashion. What's exciting from a business point of view is that now when you produce a piece of content through AI and emerging technologies, you now are able to actually repurpose that content pretty quickly for multiple platforms, because we live on the web, we have a mobile application, we need to utilize some of that content on social media to promote our channels and discussions and conversations. So for us, I think the exciting part is that we would be better able to really leverage our investment in media.
Oh, exciting times. Thank you, Mr. Dixie Ngula, joining us to talk about, Channel Africa, the broadcasting landscape. Let's get a quick look at Channel Africa's brand story.
Africa is a story, a living, breathing, ever-evolving masterpiece. And for over 5 decades now, one voice has told it like no other. Channel Africa. More than just a broadcaster, Channel Africa is the pulse of the continent, African-led, African-run, and deeply rooted in its heritage. It's the only international station that speaks to Africa in its own voices: English, Kiswahili, Chinyanja, French, and Portuguese. The languages that unite 1 billion people. We have been there through every shift, every milestone, and every triumph. Not just reporting history, but shaping the conversations that define Africa's future. For brands, media planning, and advertisers, Channel Africa is more than just a platform. It's an opportunity. With 25 compelling shows covering current affairs, sports, business, music, and lifestyle, we deliver an engaging Pan-African audience ready to connect, invest, and act. Multi-award winning, internationally recognized, digitally accessible across the globe. When Africa speaks, the world listens, and Channel Africa makes sure of it. For business, for culture, for Africa. Partner with Channel Africa because Africa's voice is the future. Africa is a story, a living, breathing, ever-evolving masterpiece. And for over 5 decades now, one voice has told it like no other. Channel Africa. More than just a broadcaster, Channel Africa is the pulse of the continent, African-led, African-run, and deeply rooted in its heritage. It's the only international station that speaks to Africa in its own voices: English, Kiswahili, Chinyanja, French, and Portuguese. The languages that unite 1 billion people. We have been there through every shift, every milestone, and every triumph. Not just reporting history, but shaping the conversations that define Africa's future. For brands, media planning, and advertisers, Channel Africa is more than just a platform. It's an opportunity. With 25 compelling shows covering current affairs, sports, business, music, and lifestyle, we deliver an engaging Pan-African audience ready to connect, invest, and act. Multi-award winning, internationally recognized, digitally accessible across the globe. When Africa speaks, the world listens, and Channel Africa makes sure of it. For business, for culture, for Africa. Partner with Channel Africa because Africa's voice is the future.
Welcome back to our conversation this morning on Channel Africa as we chat innovation and technology, Africa's digital future from a broadcasting landscape. My name is Poppy Njongwana, and I'm joined this morning by the experts and the key speakers in technology and AI. I'm joined right now by SABC COO Dr. Lungile Vinza, as well as Dr. Vuyo Nyembezi, who's SABC Group Executive for Technology. Gentlemen, thank you so much for welcoming us and for being here this morning to chat everything AI, technology, innovation, broadcasting landscape, and the future of digital in Africa.
Thank you, Poppy, and thanks for the invite. We're looking forward to the conversation.
So let's jump straight into the conversation, Dr. Binza. As someone who has a PhD in ethical artificial intelligence, why did you decide to, you earn your PhD in this?
Look, apart from the fact that I am in the industry, I also needed just to ensure that I explore the other side of AI. This thing is such a beast. It's a monstrous, period that we are finding ourselves in. And I normally say AI can be utopia, which means it actually takes you to the next level. It gives you literally everything you're looking for from a benefits perspective. You can commercialize, you can, have all your business benefits. But then I also say it can also be a dystopia,
Sure.
which means it can also, endanger lives. It can actually enhance and perpetuate some of the stereotypes that we know in the past, like racism, being against gender, women and children.
Sure.
And therefore, what I decided to do was just to ensure that as much as AI is going to be with us for a very long time, but what we also need to do is to ensure that the implementation, the utilization of AI is actually ethical. And therefore, that's the reason why I decided to go do, the degree in ethical artificial intelligence.
What were you surprised to learn while doing the degree? What was surprising to you that you unearthed from a research perspective?
Sure. I actually, so my research actually speaks about how you can balance the two. So you can actually still retain all your benefits that you're looking for from a business perspective, all the commercial benefits that you can think of. But also, I realize that you can also implement this ethically, without you only chasing, the profits, etc. You can also ensure that there's no misinformation. You can also ensure that there's disinformation is also, kept out of this. And therefore, that was the biggest, takeaway from my research. I came up with what we call a balanced AI. So, which is basically balancing the business benefits, ethics, as well as the opportunity cost. So you don't have to lose, the value that it's bringing to you, but on the other side, you ensure that it is actually also, ethically aligned and it's not actually against everything. In South Africa, one of the biggest things I always talk about is the socio-economic issues.
Sure.
And therefore, unemployment becomes one of the biggest areas that we are dealing with here. So by implementing AI, which can easily automate most of the routine jobs, you basically are taking away from, the people that could actually be, in those jobs. And what does that mean to us as a country? And one of the things then I had to ensure was just to, come up with something that would talk to that and say, do not, just automate for the sake of job destruction, if I may put it like that. Sure. Automate for augmentation. That means have a human being as well as the AI on the other side. So that link and that interfacing became quite critical in my research and the findings. Yes.
Dr. Vuyo Nyembezi, let's bring you into the conversation here as the Group Executive for Technology at the SABC. What are the key themes and elements when it comes to implementing AI in an organization like this?
Thanks, Poppy, and greetings once again. We meet once again, and thank you very much for the invitation. Maybe let me start where Dr. B ended, around the balancing the two. Because for us at SABC, it's no longer a theoretical concept, AI. It is a part and parcel of what we do. It's a reshaping every little thing that we do. If you visit our broadcast chain, it has reshaped the whole broadcast chain, from how we discover content, how we prepare content, and how we deliver that content to our audiences. But there are key foundations, which now talks to your question. There are key foundations or pillars that actually make that determination. Your technological readiness is one of the foundation. Without that, you're going nowhere, because you need ready infrastructure. Your data need to be trusted. So that becomes the foundation. And of course, your strategic investment, it talks to what are your priorities when you start to invest now onto these AI tools. And of course, the third one being the leadership, because the leadership now put it all together. And Dr. B spoke about whether people will lose job or not. But that is dependent on the leadership, and it's dependent on how they push the adoption of AI.
Let's chat about the technological readiness of the SABC and other African broadcasters. Where do you see the gaps and the challenges, and what needs to be done in that aspect?
Globally, it is there already. In Africa, we are still trying to, each broadcaster trying to find their way. But my view is that let's make it in an African way, because there are challenges in Africa that we can solve through the AI. Therefore, when we adopt it, let's link it to the public value that we want to achieve as an organization. Because if you look, I don't know how many dialects are here in Africa, but AI will kill that barrier. I will be able to listen to a radio station that I want to listen to using the AI tools. So it sort of promote inclusion but it also assists in the multi-language access. So you are able now to access different languages. Similarly, that's what Channel Africa is all about.
Sure. Dr. Binza, maybe let me bring you in here just to chat from a leadership perspective as our Chief Operating Officer, what the opportunities are for you that you see for an organization like the SABC.
Sure. So, I mean, the opportunities of AI are limitless. You can literally do anything with AI today. I'm going to talk about the broadcasting industry specifically. Dr. V has just spoken about now content generation. It is one of the things that you can easily do with AI.
Sure.
With very minimal involvement of human beings. You can do script writing. You can just ask this thing to create a script, to create a character, to create even the actual persona that you want out of this as a creative. You can get this thing to be able to help you with a voiceover artist. This thing can help you with video creation. It can help you with audio assistance. Sure. It helps you with personalization and localization. And one of my biggest passions to what Dr. V was talking about is actually on the languages side. You can produce once and then you play many times. So let's say we produce something in Swahili, or Kiswahili, and then you say, you know what, this actual drama, if it's drama, can actually be useful as well, let's say in Portuguese, in any of the Nguni languages, English, or even, French. You can just easily use AI to be able to do all of that. But you've, kind of used only one production set and one drama set, and then after that, you actually get so many of these, and you can then monetize it accordingly. And then the opportunities around monetization, then it becomes also, another very critical one, because all of these should lead to some form of benefit, commercial benefit onto you as an organization. And therefore, AI can give you literally all of those. And it is, one of the things that as the broadcaster we are looking forward to. But I always caution about, the ethical side of it, whereby you don't just blanketly implement it, but rather ensure that you are also doing so in a very responsible way. I mean, we do have what we call responsible AI, which means the way you are implementing all of this is actually done in a responsible way, and it is one of the things we need to be on the lookout for. But the benefits, augmented reality, virtual reality, it gives you all of that without you having done a lot of thinking around it. And the media sector, as I said, is by far one of the most disrupted ones by AI. In fact, even the ones before that, the media sector is always one of the sectors that are at the forefront of disruption by technology, and it is no different this time around as well.
We'll get into the intricacies about how we're going to be connecting with the different audiences on the African continent and globally. But Dr. Nyembezi, I want to chat to you now about the technical elements to implementing something and transforming in this manner. Maybe give us the details on that in terms of what you've observed and what you see working for us as an organization.
Yes. For us as a SABC, when we started the journey, we then said, how do we then improve the product that we give to our people? But also we looked at what infrastructure requirements do we want to achieve. So we started with the end in mind, which is the inclusion, which is the multi-language access. But then when you go back now, you then say, do I have the proper tools? That's where you then started to analyze, because you need an infrastructure, because the AI models, they are just the engine, but you still need data, which is then the fuel to that. It must be trusted, because the minute it is not trusted, you have a problem in your hand, because it starts to be biased. It starts to bring all the negative element. So it must be a trusted one. Then your infrastructure must be ready from a connectivity level, from your network. So that's how we then start to first pave the foundation. But all these are then held together by the skills. Although it's technological, you still need the right skills from the team so that they can use that AI to benefit the organization. So then that becomes the foundation. And the last point on this is then how then do you safeguard, because you still need the guardrails around this, both in a technical way, but also in a policy level. In a technical way, you need to still have your proper cybersecurity systems, so that protect you against other AI. That's where the fighting fire with fire comes in, because you still need to protect yourself from other malicious AI activities. Then from the human element, you need to put the guardrails so that they don't become the bridge that allow these malicious activities to come in. So that then create a fertile foundation for you, because technically that's the foundation that you need.
Thank you, Dr. Nyembezi. Dr. Benza, let's talk about the investment that is required for this transformation. What does that look like?
Sure. It's a human investment. Dr. V has just spoken to that. It is by far the most critical, area, because you need people to be able to operate these AIs. You need people to design and develop these AIs. So you need AI engineers. But then critically, AI is fueled by data. The engine of everything that we do today is, fueled by data. The biggest part that AI is bringing into the table is because it manages to actually self-learn. That's what is called machine learning. So every time there's new data that's available, it picks it up, and then it's able to put it and feed it onto the engine, and then it and then gives you the answer that you're looking for.
Sure.
Therefore, the data integrity, the data privacy, the security around data, etc., becomes critically important. So the investment then around your data infrastructure becomes critical. But then also you need a lot more bigger machines. You need data centers to be able to help you on this, because you can't run all of these things in your own infrastructure. You need what we call the cloud, where then the cloud will be able to actually process this on your behalf, but then you are actually realizing the benefits accordingly. So we need to invest in the cloud infrastructure so that we are able then to actually get what we're looking for. So there is a technological investment, there is a human investment, but also there is a data-specific investment and the infrastructure then that hosts that data. So it's quite a bit of capital expenditure that we'll be expecting out of this, but it is something that we should gradually be, doing. There is obviously then other things that are governing all of this, your policies, your standard operating procedures, and even the strategies that you basically develop out of this in order for you then to be able to implement, all of this. But it is something that requires a lot of investment. But I think the biggest one is to invest in people that will be able to think, then be able to direct and to guide. Because if you don't do that, people will come to you and say, we've got an AI that can do A, B, C, and D, and you'll be able to save so much cost. And then you go for it, only to realize later that you've impacted 100 or 12, or 1,000 jobs. And then you look at yourself and say, how could I do that in a country like ours? And therefore you need that level of, thinking, and that's why, human capital development is critical.
Let's expand on that, Dr. Nyembezi. You like to mention the human in the loop in your commentary and your insights. A lot of people have fears around AI, but chat to us about the human in the loop concept.
Thanks for that, Poppy. Just to also continue in the same vein, there will be some of the jobs that will need to shift, whereby we will have to reskill some of our teams in different broadcasters, but there will be much more jobs that will be created. Then that talks to the first element, that's AI fluency, because that becomes the key. The minute that the team understand when to use AI and what to use AI for, and I think this is applicable to your topic as well, to talk to the youth, because for them, they might say, what's in it for me if I study because AI will take over. Actually, it's not. You're going to be the driver for that particular AI model. So you must start now to then look at the direction that you need to take, because all the model will still need a human, which is the human in the loop. And especially if you take that now, bring it to a broadcaster like SABC, you take it to news, there will still be a need for editorial judgment.
Sure.
So you cannot just take content and publish it for consumption without verification, without the thorough analysis. So we just need to balance this. And Dr. B spoke about the balance. That's where now the balance comes in. You bring AI tools in news, they do verification for you. Actually, they catch other AI and fake news for you. So that's where the balance comes in. As you're bringing it in, the individuals are still there to supervise. So that's where now the human in the loop comes in. You still need that supervision.
Dr. Benza, let's chat about cybersecurity and what the challenges are in terms of transformation and all of, the challenges that might, impede the successful transformation of AI innovation technology. In your work that you've done, what are the cybersecurity concerns and challenges?
Plenty. With cybersecurity, you will never safely say I've won the game. They generate, new spams, new viruses every day, these guys.
Like most criminals.
Exactly.
No
So while you are busy innovating from a business perspective, they are also busy innovating from a virus perspective. How do I attack them, more? So what you can do is to do the basics, though. Make sure that you've got your people on guard and always alert about what's happening out there, so they don't just have to click on anything that comes up. They always have to be warned that before you click on any suspicious link, make sure that you don't at least you look at it quite seriously before you can actually engage with it. So that's the first thing, because the biggest risk on cybersecurity really is people.
Sure.
It's your people within your domain that are actually the biggest one. Then the second one is then you do the normal stuff. There's what we call threat modeling within cybersecurity, where you just model where the threat will be coming from. So is it coming through email? Is it coming through your website? Is it coming through people just chatting and then that landing up onto your network, etc.? You just do that analysis and then you say, how do you, stop that? And then there's another one that we call penetration testing, where then you actually ask people or get people to be able to try and penetrate your network without you knowing. And then they will do all sorts of things, try and get around your passwords, etc., just to try and see how easy it is to penetrate your network. That too becomes another critical, a component that you have to, always be doing this. And then on a regular basis now, on an annual basis, you then keep on just doing your own risk assessment and do your own testing, etc., just to check if everybody is aware within your network that are utilizing some of these AI tools. But I think from a governance perspective, and this is what Dr. V is talking to, is also to ensure that within your specific network, most of the AI tools that are used at least are known. And they are for business-specific stuff, not for personal gains. So people that are looking for AI tools that are for their own personal, they can use them obviously when they are at home, etc. But once it becomes part of this network, which is our bigger network, you need to always be on guard, know exactly what is happening out there, and then you can be able to control it. The biggest threats around cybersecurity used to come from Eastern Europe. And the guys in Ukraine, etc., they used to be the ones that are taking, especially financial institutions, because they would want to get around, the bank accounts, etc., and be able to do that fraud, etc. Right now, we're picking up that the Middle East is also now one of the biggest areas that is actually trying to target South Africa. So what you need to do is just to always ensure that you do all the necessary basics so that you try and at least try and protect yourself. But the innovation that these guys, go through is huge. Just trying to attack people.
Why specifically South Africa? Why is the Middle East in our backyard?
I'm sure there's political reasons to that as well. I can't obviously get into those, but there is, the view now whenever, the IT team under Dr. V is looking and they're realizing where are all of these people coming from. And there's 8,000 in a minute, for instance, coming through to our network. And then they say, the Middle East. What's happening there? So there could be other things at play. But look, I mean, there's a lot of technology innovations that's happening in the Middle East. I mean, there's, I always say Waze, for instance, which is, the navigation app that we use on a regular basis, comes from the Middle East. It's a nice tool. So the guys tend to be very good in innovating around technology. But yeah, they can also be good in innovating in other things within technology, which is, the cyber threats that they are posing to us. But there could be more than just them being innovative. There could also be other things at play, but I can't get into those because I don't have any evidence.
Yes, we always need evidence. Dr. Nyembezi, let's shift now to the audiences and how this all benefits, the end game, which is reaching new audiences, tapping into a younger market. When it comes to, Africa, not only do we have the youngest audience, but I feel like our audience is also possibly the most active when it comes to, trends around visual content and digital content specifically. What are the opportunities there from an African perspective?
I think it's a big opportunity for broadcasters to shift, because the minute you remain stagnant, you're going to lose audience. So we need to shift and be where the audiences are. In this case, the highest population is the youth. So we shift and we follow the youth. That's why even today we are streaming live to 27 or 30 countries around us. So that's the shift. But to then keep the youngsters, you then need to do much more than just streaming. You now need to introduce your AI tools that assist you with personalization so that they can get the content that they want with the recommendations, so that they get to know before everybody else. So those start to keep them and ensure that you have and you capture that audience. We also applying some of these to some extent within our own SABC Plus platform, which is also broadcasting this webinar. So there is a good out of the AI tools.
So maybe, Dr. Binta, you can chat to us about the unique positioning of some of the SABC properties, specifically SABC Plus, Channel Africa, the successes that we've seen. We've got 3 million subscribers on SABC Plus now. How are we going to continue to grow platforms like that in order to reach bigger audiences from a global perspective, not just Africa?
Yeah, SABC Plus excites me. When I think about that platform, it really gives me, the goosebumps that a technologist in me is always thinking about. So SABC Plus is a platform. One, there's obviously the free it's a freemium platform, which means it's got content that is accessible for free, but also we can also have content that is a premium content which we can monetize, or even put whatever levels of monetization on top of it. Dr. V is talking about the youth in Africa. The last time I checked, I think the median age of an African was a 19 or 20-year-old, and therefore out of 1 billion people, you've got just over 600 million people that are young, which means the content that you curate for them has to be okay. So the content that you curate for your platforms has to be for them. So, for instance, within SABC Plus, you've got what we call gamification today, which is basically what the young people are looking for. The other thing we're busy trying to put together within SABC Plus is what we call short form content, TikTok style. and then people can just have, that short form content about themselves, and then they post it, and then you've got followers. You guys as, the most, popular, people in the world, then you can easily have, amass a following within our platform. And that basically gives us and the actual, content creator or an influencer or whatever the names that we use, another opportunity for them to actually, find other means of, monetizing their own content. So within SABC Plus, it is just, an opportunity for Africa to actually experience it. It is free. It is freely available for everybody. Obviously, there will be rules around, the content that we either, get through sporting rights or sometimes with some of our production houses. But outside that, most of the content that's available, especially, the audio content within radio, it is, freely available. You can be sitting anywhere in Africa today and consuming, any one of the radio stations that we have. There's 19 of them within the SABC. Similarly, you can be sitting anywhere in the diaspora or in the world. You would actually be able to consume any of our content. I mean, the last part to what Dr. V was talking about as well is the visual nature of radio. Now we start to see you guys visually when you are in studio broadcasting. SABC Plus provides that type of platform. So the 3 million is just the beginning of subscribers. Sure. We still think, Africa is going to, latch onto this, and it's going to get even bigger. But we need to ensure that this is monetized properly now, and it's one of the challenges that we as Africans, we need to look out for. Because there's infrastructure issues, there's data price issues, there's device issues, etc. in Africa that we still have to deal with. But from a platform perspective, and you being in a position to stream, SABC Plus is by far one of your biggest, platforms to experiment and explore.
Exciting times. Dr. Nyembezi, let's maybe chat about the opportunity for the SABC to collaborate with other African broadcasters and platforms. You spoke about, super aggregator status. What does that mean for the SABC and for platforms, channels, broadcasters on the African continent?
Thanks for that. Just to continue where Dr. B was, when we super aggregate, we start to bring other partners within the SABC Plus. And this is just the beginning of our journey. When you go now to the SABC Plus platform, you can start to see different players that are in there offering their own content. So we start to become like a mall for content, and that's our value proposition. So we do not, we can partner with any other partner. We go through a process. So we're saying if there are partners out there, they can just contact us, and we will take it from there. But the other thing that I wanted to say, we don't partner for the sake of partnering. For example, we have, in line with the topic today on AI, we have AI fluency within our education element inside the SABC Plus. I normally tease my family members and say, you can actually spend the whole weekend binging on SABC Plus, and on Monday you get a certificate on AI. Because those chapters are there within the SABC Plus. It's just a matter of you investing time. And since we're speaking to the youth as well, we are saying the youth that is not having employment, SABC Plus is there. We sometimes zero rate the education channel. Then they can start to spend more time on those AI fluency courses. And then after that, they take exams. So they will end up having certificates before they even get to be employed permanently. So.
We're watching, we're learning, we're entertained, everything all happening on SABC Plus. Absolutely love it. Maybe let's wrap, Dr. Windsor, by chatting about what the SABC looks like from a global perspective in terms of positioning as we find us transforming into the digital age and talking about Africa's digital future. Where would you say that with the progress that we have made in terms of AI technology innovation, where does this place us?
Look, obviously we, as the SABC, we always say we're the biggest public broadcaster in Africa, And in order for us to sustain that position, we always have to continue innovating. And last week I was, listening into, in fact, I was sitting into a cabinet committee that was talking about the elections readiness. And one of the things that they mentioned was that the SABC is by far one of the most trusted, public entity out there. And we actually, I attended that. It was my first time attending it. And I was like, guys, this is exactly what we do at the SABC. We invest in innovation. We invest in our people. We make sure that we continue to, reinvent ourselves in order to stay at the top. I always say getting to the top is very, very difficult, but staying there is even harder. So now, in order for us to ensure that we continue to stay at the top as the biggest public broadcaster in Africa, we have to always continue with the innovations that we do. Yes, we do have one or two constraints here where sometimes we don't have enough capital expenditure to continue with the investment. But other than that, the basic stuff that we have to do in order for us to retain the leadership as one of the biggest public broadcasters in the world is actually, in place, and we should continue doing that. But where are we today? We think we're up there. Most of the African countries, African public broadcasters, they're coming to us to talk to us, and they were always willing to talk to them. We want to aggregate them, as Dr. V was talking to earlier. We want to partner with them. We want to actually see an Africa that is staying within Africa and using and utilizing African products and services. And that's exactly what we're looking forward to. But yes, that's definitely where we are as a public broadcaster today.
Dr. Lungile Binza as well as Dr. Vio Nyembezi joining us to chat Africa's digital future and touching on the innovation and technology needed. I think I'm done asking the questions, gentlemen. It's time for us to get into some of the audience Q&As right now. Thank you so much to everyone who did submit a question this morning for the webinar. We're going to ask the gentlemen to answer your questions next. So let's get into the first question of the morning. I think you touched on this briefly, Dr. Binza. How is AI affecting our radio industry? You did have some comments, but maybe give us a broader perspective in terms of what you're seeing AI doing in radio.
Yes, I think most of what we've spoken about is part of what AI is doing for radio. So the first one is obviously language preservation. If you want anything with your language in a certain accent, in a certain way, AI can help you with that. So it's part of the content production that Dr. V was talking about earlier. Localization. AI can manage to localize your drama series. Your as I mentioned earlier about producing once and using many times, and in that case you won't feel that this is actually something that's been produced in Swahili in Tanzania or in Kenya when you are consuming it here in South Africa, in Sesotho, for instance. The assumption is that it's actually, done in South Africa with your own specific language. It is such a beautiful thing. Then one of the other things is actually the voice assistance. AI, you can actually, have what we call AI-powered audios, and that is actually some of the things that AI is capable of doing for you. And it's just as easy as you just say, okay, I need to do A, B, C, and D, and then it does all the voiceovers and voice assistants that you are looking for. But content creation, you can use AI. Content production, you can use. It's just there for us to use. But I always have the disclaimer towards the end: use it and utilize it responsibly. Make sure that it's not taking away from what we have.
Let's get into our second Q&A question for Dr. Vio Nyembezi. How is AI used in media, and how can young people remain authentic amid echo chambers and deep fakes? Dr. Nyembezi.
Yes, thanks for the question. I will start with the content creation that Dr. B was talking to. That's the first element. But my angle will be slightly different to say, then how do we then allow the audiences to get access? There is multiple ways. All the subtitling that we do, the speech to text, the reverse. So those become the key. element. And now when you start to link into what the broadcaster can get out of this, it's all the insights, because the broadcaster is able now to get the insights, then is able to now to personalize. And for youth, that is key. As I indicated, they will get what they want to get. But now, when you link it with the echo chambers, you know that saying that when you consume a certain material all the time, you think that way. My take and my message to the youngster is that you must be broad-minded, and critical thinking is key. Like any other thing, in the olden days we were using books. You will still double reference. So we still need to do the same here. You can't just take an answer that you get from an AI tool and then it's gospel. You double reference, you verify. That goes to our newsroom. As I indicated earlier, that the editorial judgment still need to be there. So inside the newsroom, they still need to do verification. But at the same time, they will be able to catch any fake news or fake stories, fake pictures, because they use AI to verify. If I go slightly in detail, because that content comes with metadata, then AI is able to locate when it was made, where it was made. So when you start to use it to assist the organization, it then look into those elements. It will tell you immediately if the content is fake and when it was produced, because the content carry the metadata. So that is important. But for youth, I'll always say critical thinking, and AI doesn't replace your actual thinking.
Powerful stuff. Let's get into another question for Dr. Lungile Binza. I know this one's going to be a sore topic. Regulation. Let's get into regulating the use of AI in broadcasting. Wow. How far are we on that?
Sure. Can I say we're slightly far?
Okay.
As South Africa, we're still behind, and I think it's helping with the innovators, by the way, because sometimes regulations can be seen to be, inhibiting the actual innovation itself. But in South Africa, we had an AI policy draft that was about to be adopted by cabinet, and then it was then retracted by the minister, because you know what they found was that the actual policy was written using AI. And then, so when that was revealed, then the minister then decided to withdraw the AI policy, and then he sent it back so that the guys can, continue to work on it. So we are still in that AI policy vacuum. So there is still that limbo that we are in terms of the actual AI policy itself. But look, the Global South, which is mainly us, we are still slightly behind, because we don't have most of these regulations. But in the Global North, which is your Europe as well as your North Americas, etc., and Asia, you find that they've got quite a bit. I mean, in the European Union, for instance, they've got what is called the EU High-Level Expert, a group on AI, and it has developed what is called the 4 principles of ethical guidelines for trustworthy AI. Sure. In the UK, for instance, they've got what is called the Select UK Committee on AI that has developed 5 principles for AI in the UK. And then in Asia, in Japan, for instance, its cabinet has got, an office that's just dedicated to AI. And they've developed what is called the 7 principles for human-centric AI society. So these are all the things that other people have done across the world. But if you look at them, and I did quite a bit of extensive study around them, and there's nothing that's different to what we as South Africans are looking for. So AI should be human-centric. AI has to have justice. AI shouldn't have any malfeasance, etc. So I think at some stage, once our AI policy is finalized, it will also talk to some of those broader principles that UNESCO as well is talking to. So I don't think we're going to be very far from that, but it is something that, we should always be on the lookout for, because, the AI policy which is the regulations basically, is something that will come. And especially with all of this, misinformation and disinformation that we have, you do need some form of control around this, because even other people across the world, I mean, most powerful people in technology, they say, this is a monster. We need to have some control around it. And I think we have to, find ways of controlling it. But I think with what is currently coming out of the global north, I think most of it, about 90 to 95% of it, could be applicable in the global south as well, which is us. And I think we will see that once we have our own, policy framework finalized.
We're continuing with our viewer questions right here, and we've got one for Dr. Vuyo Nyembezi now. Dr. Nyembezi, this is a tough one. Who should be held accountable or responsible when AI-generated content is broadcast? Content causes harm or spreads misinformation. Dr. Binza touched on it. Who's going to be held accountable? That's going to be tricky.
I'll tap on Dr. B's thesis, because I think that's where it stems, right? It talks about the ethical use of AI and the responsible use of AI. I think that then gives you the pillar. The minute there is that element, it talks to the leadership, because the responsibility starts from the top. All good things, when they happen, they must from the top, and even bad things when they happen is from the top. So the responsible use, that's the anchor.
Sure.
In our case, we then in a process of finalizing our own internal policy, which then becomes the guardrail. Then the guardrail will be clear that there need to be a human oversight. Then if there is a lapse in human oversight, the whole chain will have to account, from the leader to the different levels. Hence, if you take it specifically to news, editorial judgment, even today is applicable. There is a person that has to be held accountable. So within a broadcaster, it needs to be clear who must do what and who is responsible for what. But the human is in the center of everything, like Dr. B has mentioned.
There's three things there to what Dr. V is talking about.
Please add.
One, it's transparency. Two, it's accountability. In fact, it's responsibility. And then three, it's accountability. So one of the things that they say is exactly what he says. There has to be someone who takes full responsibility in the business when this thing doesn't go right. With Microsoft, when they produced their, the very first, iteration of their AI, it started insulting people. And then the executives were the ones then that were hauled onto, to come in and respond to that and answer onto why is this AI now all of a sudden responding in a way like this. So those three are critical. You need to know, all of them are under what we call explainability. You should be able to explain what your AI is doing. And inside that, there must be transparency, there must be responsibility, and then there must be accountability, as Dr. V is talking. So it's quite critical that a human being is actually, held accountable onto their own AIs. And it's something as part of the policy, and I'm sure the government policy that's coming up as well, it will talk to that. All senior executives in businesses, in government, in state-owned entities, and public institutions, there must be people that are held accountable for whatever the AI, ends up doing. Of course, there's a lot of good that we want it to do, but if it does harm as well, it also talks to someone then that needs to be held accountable. But we will obviously determine that when we finalize the policies.
And that's the only way for ensuring public trust and integrity. Without that,
everything's lost. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for the conversation. Dr. Lungile Binza, SABC COO, and of course, Dr. Vuyo Nyembezi, Group Executive for Technology at the SABC. That is how we wrap up the conversation this morning. We're going to take a quick break and be back with our vote of thanks. That was it.
Well, this is The Upside, your gateway to the good life on Channel Africa, the African perspective, with me, Tebohole Khuleni, and Matsheko Mosito. Stream us anywhere around the world, www.channelafrica.co.za, or simply download our app.
Hi, my name is Dixie Ngula. I'm business manager at Channel Africa. Channel Africa is the SABC's international channel, and we speak to the African audiences and the diaspora through English, Chinyanja, Kiswahili, Portuguese, and French. Africa Matters is a catalyst for discussions amongst Africans to come up with solutions to African problems. This first and inaugural Africa Matters chose a theme: climate change, financing Africa's recovery. We want to frame a conversation that says that we want to take our destiny into our own hands so that we are able to speak as one voice to international organizations that deal with climate change finance and regional bodies that deal with geopolitics across the world. So that we're not just contributing labor to the world, but we're also contributing innovators and solutions.
Africa stands at a moment that demands courage, a moment that calls for bold thinking, for shared responsibility, for leadership that looks beyond today and invests in tomorrow. Across this continent, progress is not an abstract idea. It's a lived reality in growing economies, in young innovators building new industries, in farmers adapting to changing climates, in entrepreneurs transforming opportunity into prosperity. Climate change is no longer a distant threat. It is reshaping landscapes, livelihoods, and futures. And yet, within this challenge lies one of the greatest opportunities of our time. At Africa Matters, voices rise with purpose. Leaders, thinkers, innovators, and citizens come together with a shared belief that Africa's future must be shaped by vision, partnership, and courage. Here, the conversation moves beyond obstacles. It becomes a force for possibility. Africa is building it with ideas, with determination, with voices that will not be ignored. This is the spirit behind the conversation. This is the purpose behind the movement. This is Africa Matters. Africa is a story, a living, breathing, ever-evolving masterpiece. And for over 5 decades now, one voice has told it like no other. Channel Africa. More than just a broadcaster, Channel Africa is the pulse of the continent, African-led, African-run, and deeply rooted in its heritage. It's the only international station that speaks to Africa in its own voices: English, Kiswahili, Chinyanja, French, and Portuguese. The languages that unite 1 billion people. We have been there through every shift, every milestone, and every triumph. Not just reporting history, but shaping the conversations that define Africa's future. For brands, media planning, and advertisers, Channel Africa is more than just a platform. It's an opportunity. With 25 compelling shows covering current affairs, sports, business, music, and lifestyle, we deliver an engaging Pan-African audience ready to connect, invest, and act. Multi-award winning, internationally recognized, digitally accessible across the globe. When Africa speaks, the world listens, and Channel Africa makes sure of it. For business, for culture, for Africa, partner with Channel Africa, because Africa's voice is the future.
Welcome back if you've just joined us. This is the Channel Africa's Digital Future webinar with myself, Poppy Njongwana. We've just heard from our speakers this morning, but we're about to wrap things up. And to give us our vote of thanks this morning for the webinar is, of course, Channel Africa's Marketing Manager, Ms. TK Mokoena. Welcome, TK.
Happy Women's Month.
Happy Women's Month. Good to see you.
Thank you, Poppy. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you for having and putting this together.
I mean, if it wasn't for a collective effort, this couldn't have been.
Yes.
Thank you for being a good host.
Thank you.
Thank you to the doctors. We have Dr. Binza and Dr. Nyembezi that came through. Poppy, we need to look at our PhDs. We should be called Dr. TK and Dr.
And Dr. Njongwana, with pleasure.
I mean, but thank you to the colleagues. And thank you for Dr. Binza, our COO, and Dr. Nyembezi, our GE Technology, for taking time and making time out of their busy schedules to be with us, to engage our audiences about AI. Really is appreciated. And I would like to thank the Channel Africa management team. They have been supporting every effort that we come up with and behind the scenes, but their insights and knowledge about how to implement projects and come up with topics that really resonate with our listeners is really appreciated, but especially the leadership under Mr. Dixie Ngula. I hope I pronounced his name right. His vision for the station is on another level, and together we're supporting and making sure that we are empowered by what he teaches us to do. Has always been a driving force behind our success, and this brand couldn't have been here if it was not for his vision of making sure that we live what the brand is. We are a digital first radio station, and through this webinar, I'm sure the audiences can agree with me on that. I'd like to thank the different teams, our agency, Kulumanku. Thank you so much, colleagues. Thank you to the team at Channel Africa. Together, your efforts, colleagues, are flawless. The time it took to plan this whole thing looked like it was not going to be possible, but because of their expertise, because of the teamwork and the passion they have for the brand, really all came in, it all went well. To our wonderful audience, thank you, and thank you. Thank you for making time. I know you're supposed to be at work. Your manager's saying, how? It's an hour, and you said, you need an hour for this. But to make sure that you are present, you are engaging with the speakers, you're engaging and listening into what expertise and intelligence we have at the channel. Thank you for making time. Thank you for connecting with us through our digital platforms. And as we officially close the day, I hope you take all the shared insights today and share them with others, because together we can build a better continent, we can build a better world by sharing the knowledge that we all get. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your day further. Thank you, Poppy.
Thank you so much. And that is how we wrap things up this morning on Channel Africa. A big thank you to you for watching and to everyone who's been involved behind the scenes. My name is Poppy Njongwana. We'll see you at the next Channel Africa webinar. Goodbye.